Hello, here I am again sharing my mind. And today I would like to discuss a subject which arose this morning when on Facebook I commented to a post where there was an opinion of the author and she was asking about others if they agree or think differently. I want to tell this story to you because there is something that I believe we should consider. There is something that we should be conscious of: the behavioral pattern of mind, the habit of mind, something which makes us frustrated and something which creates conflicts in discussions, in conversations. So the story is that I'm a member of a group of Russian ladies married abroad, having foreign husbands and living in their country of residence. So I'm one of them, and I come from Belarus. Some other women come from Russia or Ukraine or Kazakhstan, and we are all Russian speakers. So we unite together that group. And as I commented today, the author of the post replied to me, and kind of her message invited for further interaction. And when I wrote another message of mine, then I addressed her using you singular. You know, in the Russian language, we have that you singular and we have you, which is different. It is for either plural, for multiple people who you address, or for people who you highly respect, or people who are older than you, people with whom you should keep distance, some kind of formal official you. So I use the simple you, like the one that we use in the family with those who we love, with those who we study together, our mates, our friends, people with whom we are close. And as my opinion, same like some other people's too, was different from hers. She was already, as I see, a bit upset, but of course she couldn't contradict to that because she herself created a post and she asked others' opinions, so she couldn't express any unsatisfaction on the fact that people express different views. But when she saw that I address her saying you singular, she attached to that concept and she wrote to me that apparently she appeared to be also one of moderators of the group, and she told me that this is her notification to me, alarm, that I behave disrespectfully towards her, and I should replace all my you singular with you plural or respectful in my previous message towards her. Otherwise, she may ban me in the group. Well, it was quite unexpected reaction like this. I understood the roots. I saw that maybe the discussion was already not so pleasant. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, so I just followed her instruction and I told her that no problem, I didn't mean to hurt you in any way. I'm sorry. I'm replacing if it is meaningful to you. I only want to remark that for me there is no disrespect. I think just that this is our Soviet habit, saying you respectful, you plural to somebody, rather than really expression of respect. Well, this she disliked probably even more. This added up to her frustration, to which she said that I shouldn't say that Soviet, that we have that Soviet habit. Why do I say Soviet if I can say just Russian? And I felt that she was really upset. So I just wrote to her that probably we are speaking off topic here already and we should discuss it in the private messaging. Which I did. I wrote her messages, I proposed her peace and not war, and I said for peace, we shouldn't battle for peace. We shouldn't attack someone if we feel that we need to protect ourselves because there is something that makes us feel uncomfortable. And I just once again excused myself and I told her that I don't mean that it is disrespectful to have something from the Soviet life, Soviet time. It is only the habit of using this word, which we say, not really meaning that I highly respect you, but we use it singularly, solely by habit, only by habit, which comes from our Soviet education. Because how else can I say if not Soviet? As we are not Russians. For Russians, it is easy, they say we are Russians. But those who come from Belarus and speak Russian, we don't want to identify ourselves with Russians. We want anyway to also to have our culture. We say we are Belarusians. Ukrainians like to say they're Ukrainians, and this is not strange, I think. So this is why I united us all saying Soviet. But unfortunately, many people consider Soviet as something offensive, because there are many things actually which happened during Soviet times which are considered by the other Western world, by European countries, which are considered a bit undervalued, and that people have poor life there, and that people didn't have honest government. The ruling system was never good enough for people to let them have happy life. So now people started feeling a bit ashamed that they come from Soviet countries, and feeling themselves ashamed, actually, they protect even more the concept of Soviet. So they start speaking more about the wars that we won, the popular writers and authors of popular books that we have, and all things that can be proud of, but they speak about in the context to protect the idea that Soviet is not bad. While I didn't even mean, and I didn't even mention anything bad, I just said this is a Soviet habit that makes us say you plural instead of you singular. Well, this woman, she agreed with me in the private messaging that, okay, let's go for peace, it's okay. I really tried to make peace with her, explain her, and not to push my opinion on her. And what she did is that, because she is a moderator, she's an administrator of the group, she created a separate post where she said that there is something in the group who speaks you singular and versus you plural. What do you think? How shall we speak? Because that person says that saying you respective, you plural, is Soviet, is too Soviet. Well, she put it in the way that people started supporting her, saying that, yeah, why saying Soviet? Somebody disrespects others by saying Soviet. Somebody thinks somebody is me. They were talking about me. It means somebody lives abroad and puts himself highly because has left his previous old life of Soviet countries and now speaks of himself highly, saying Soviet. And people started just following the mind of one and developing that kind of negativity around the word Soviet and around the word you singular versus you plural. While there were some others which really surprised me. This should be a person quite independent from the structure, independent from the public opinion, who can say so. And I was pleasantly surprised there were such people who said, oh, since I live outside of my motherland, since I live in Europe, I also learned to speak you singular to people, and I learned it from my mother-in-law, who told me that I should say you singular. And this is how I speak with others, and I prefer to feel closer, I prefer to feel more accessible to others. So I like to, and there were a few opinions like that. So what do I want to say by all this? Finally, the administrator made a conclusion that we can all agree here to use both. We can really say you singular after we have discussed that, and after there are people who kind of confirm the same idea as I was expressing. But unless somebody really wants to have that you plural. Well, she proposed like that to the group. And eventually, why I bring this subject to discussion here with you? Why do I want to share my mind? What is there on my mind? On my mind is that we live by so many standards, frameworks on our mind, something which comes not from our own experience, but just directed by the culture, directed by some fears of what others would think of me, directed by the idea that everybody else does like this, I will do the same. So that when a situation comes and something happens differently, we immediately feel ourselves out of the zone of comfort. And then we react. If we feel that our comfort zone was shaken, then we feel ourselves insecure. The problem is that we attach to some connotations, we put some concepts, and the problem is that it's not us. If I put some concept on something, it means I see reason in that, I do it according to my experience, and I mean to avoid some unpleasant situation by that, or make situation easier, something like that. But the thing is that it is preset mode in our mind, which we use automatically. And then when somebody acts differently, we feel that our comfort zone is shaken, and immediately we feel that we need to protect ourselves. What do we do to protect ourselves is that we attack the others. Like this, actually, we come out of a potentially good conversation, exchange of opinions, even if they're different. And the same as taking this word Soviet. Many people feel kind of shame or whatever there is that they come from their country, but everybody grows in where he was born, and we don't have to be who we are born only. Of course, there is impact on us, but we can always grow. We can always invest into ourselves, and we can be proud of who we are, and we can appreciate the mistakes that we did, and the same we can appreciate the hard past that we had, and appreciate the good that we had due to that. This is a part of us. So if we respect ourselves, if we invest into ourselves, if we know that we represent something there, that I have good intention, then we will not imply any bad connotation to words. Words are just words. Words are just combination of letters, actually. What matters is the intention inside. What matters is that what we really feel and what message we send out there. So today's situation just showed me again how people are lost in lack of presence in what is happening. They take the stamps from their mind. The mind behaves automatically. It gives automatic reactions to some standard opinion, some standard thinking, and then it is not our thinking. It is not the thinking in accordance to the situation which happens in the present moment. It is just general concept which is preset in us by previous generations. This doesn't permit us to be spontaneous and to be truthful in the moment of happening. So I'm sharing my mind with you here on this subject, because I'm sure in every culture there are certain do's and don'ts, and there are certain good and bad, and the more we put those labels of good and bad, the more we surround ourselves by a wall which can be violated by others. Because also I told to this moderator that I didn't see any rule like that I violate, where we agreed to speak only you like this or you like that. I don't violate anything, and okay, if for you it is so important, I can do it. Most important is to see the present situation, even if in my preference is to use your singular, but I see somebody is hurt. For me, I will not put my ego over and say, no, you are wrong, you see, others follow the same idea. No, I can speak to her, you plural, no problem. Most important is the peace. Most important is to feel that we were not the last in the argument, we were not the right in the argument, but we have peace in our heart and we don't create war. So please, try to consider that too. I'm sharing my mind here with you, and I wish you all the best.